is here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
America, Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Holy mackerel. I think they have Merrick Garland. If they get going with this impeachment inquiry. Now, don't get me wrong, the press will throw everything they can in front of it, all kinds of flack, as well as the other Democrats. But I think we have some courageous individuals in Kevin McCarthy, Jim Jordan, Jim Comer, and others. And I want you to understand, if we did not have the Republican majority in the House, even a small majority, none of this would be happening. And I want to get into that. I want to get into all of it. And we are going to. But I also want to talk to you about something else. And I will continue to keep coming back to this. Excuse me. We've talked about all kinds of things this week and last week related to the Democrat Party. But you've also noticed, and we've discussed in the past, the change in language. Language. How can you change language? And who's changing the language? Language control is thought control. Language control is thought control. It is used by totalitarian regimes all the time. It is used by autocratic parties all the time. It's being used widely and successfully by the Democrat Party, the media, academia, the teachers' unions. In other words, the Democrat Party and all of its appendages. It is a trait, it is a characteristic of communism, of Marxism, of totalitarianism. We have men and women who have lived through regimes like this, whether it's Castro in Cuba, whether it's Venezuela, Hugo Chavez, the old Soviet Union, China, North Korea, Iran, you name it. And several through the Third Reich. Associate Professor Magda Stronska at McMaster University in Hamilton, Canada. You notice how I give everybody credit? I don't steal their ideas. This, of course, is from the Democrat Party Hates America. Entire chapter on language and thought control. She explains in her essay, Language in Totalitarian Regimes, that totalitarianism promoted persuasion by means of altering perceptions of reality. Totalitarianism promoted persuasion by means of altering people's perception of reality. She also explains that communist regimes use the means of propaganda and mass deception based on a fiction. In other words, language is weaponized to serve the purposes of a political party, a movement, an ideology, and a regime. And in this, the communists are not alone. Stroinska notes that, in practice, only a few people can be persuaded that black is white, but many learn to say that they do see things in prescribed colors and to call them by prescribed names. For example, not long ago, Senator Marco Rubio introduced an amendment to a bill, and I quote, that would have clarified for the purposes of maternal and infant-related program resources that only women can be pregnant. That's the bill he introduced. That only women can be pregnant. It was defeated by the Senate Democrats. Or take the word socialist. Stroinska explains that while the word socialist became suspect, social from socialist lingers on. Became a fixed prefix to words such as social justice, social institutions, social policy, social democracy, or solidarity. And if there were any instances of justice or democracy that were happening in a vacuum, well, that word social would be plopped right in front of it. Now, obviously, this authoritarian practice now widely exists in the United States, as the English language, science, knowledge, experience, and specific words are being redefined, banned, replaced, and so forth, to impose on we the people the beliefs, values, and thought processes of the American Marxists and the Democrat Party. For example, academic freedom, debate, and the competition of ideas on college campuses, free speech and exchange of information on internet platforms, entertainment from comedy and plays to television and movies, biological and scientific knowledge about men, women, gender, and sex, public school teachers' seminars and training, classroom texts and learning, bureaucratic edicts and regulations, corporate, environmental, social, and governance, ESG, workplace, diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, wokeness generally, and more, are all used to serve the ideological, political, and economic purposes of the Democrat Party and its extremist Marxist base. Philosopher and professor Friedrich Hayek, you may have heard of him, of course, put it this way. He wrote, the most effective way of making everybody serve the single system of ends towards the social plan is to make everybody believe in those ends. Although the beliefs must be chosen for the people and imposed upon them, they must become their beliefs, a generally accepted creed which makes the individuals, as far as possible, act spontaneously in the way the planner wanted. Richard Eubling, professor of ethics and free enterprise leadership, The Citadel, explains that it is through our language that we think about ourselves, our relationships to others, and the social order surrounding us. Words do not merely delineate objects, individuals, events, or actions. Words also create mental images, emotions, attitudes, and beliefs that color how people see themselves and the world around them. And he writes about the totalitarianization of words and ideas that can be seen at work in the language of the progressive and radical left, as he puts it, in America today. Is this somewhat interesting to you, Mr. Producer? I'm trying to explain, America, what's going on around you and why these things are happening. All of a sudden, men aren't men, women aren't men, we can't define women. You've got like 0.1% or less of the United States that is transgender. But you wouldn't believe it. With the executive orders, with the lawsuits, with the edicts, school board, educational, training and seminars, libraries. The Democrat Party and the Marxists, they seek out these extremist views and they seize on them for the purpose of destroying the existing society. If we in America cannot even accept the fact that a man is a man and a woman is a man, if we can't even accept the fact that parents have a right, a final right, a God-given right to determine how their flesh and blood is to be raised, all of which is in challenge now. If we're going to destroy our economic system and capitalism for so-called climate change that can't even be defined, then we cease to exist. And they do this through thought control and language. Your kids are receiving it now in government schools, colleges and universities. You're receiving it through television. Mikhail Heller, an author and scholar who was raised in the Soviet Union, explains, language is the most important and the most powerful weapon in the hands of a state that has decided to transform human beings. The creation of a new language serves two aims: to obtain, as George Orwell put it, an instrument with which to express the philosophy and thoughts that are permitted, and secondly, to make all other sorts of thinking impossible. The new language is consequently at once a means of communication and an instrument of oppression. The word conceals reality, creates an illusion, a surrealist impression, but at the same time it preserves a link with reality and puts it into code. The Soviet Union, Heller recounts, the Soviet language became the most important means of preventing people from acquiring more knowledge than the Communist Party and the state wished. Soviet speech lost its freedom. And I might add, the official dictionaries were changed to reflect the Communist Party and the state's meaning of words. We're doing that in our country right now. This same indoctrination tool is occurring in the United States today, and the Democrat Party is at the foreground of this movement. NPR recently reported Dictionary.com has updated thousands of entries and added hundreds of words in its largest release to date, a reflection of the ways in which society and language have evolved, even in just the past few months. The digital dictionary announced that it updated more than 15,000 entries and added 650 brand new terms. Many of the revisions deal with language related to identity and topics like race and ethnicity, gender and sexuality, health and wellness. The work of a dictionary, they said, is more than just adding new words. It's an ongoing effort to ensure that how we define words reflects changes in language and life, said John Kelly, senior editor at Dictionary.com. Our revisions are putting people in all their rich humanity first, and we are extremely proud of that. I'm not going to read the whole book. I'm giving you a taste, a little flavor of one chapter to the next. Each chapter basically could be a book unto itself. They're very long chapters, but these are very, very critical subjects. If this is something that intrigues you or draws your attention, that you think is important to explore further, hello? Okay. I want to encourage you to order your copy of The Democrat Party Hates America on Amazon.com, or you can get it at Books A Million or Barnes & Noble sites as well. But I think this is a crucially important book. And I told my Levin TV producers today, I said, you know what? I think this is the most important book I've ever written. Given that the day is today and it's late, that the clock keeps ticking, and that the Democrat Party hides behind these movements. But it is the Democrat Party that together represents these movements. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
If we've learned anything over the past 2 years, it's that unexpected things can happen. For example, average IRA and 401k balances fell 20% last year, according to Fidelity. We didn't expect that, but here's something that could help if you have an IRA or 401k. Physical gold in your IRA. The World Gold Council says even central banks are buying tons of gold. Now, what does that tell you? Learn why many Americans are turning to a gold IRA with Augusta Precious Metals. They're the best. I recommend them to my friends and family. You should call Augusta and get their ultimate guide to gold IRAs. Feels good to know there's another savings option. Diversity is the key. Call Augusta Precious Metals at 8774-GOLD-IRA. That's 8774-GOLD-IRA, 8774-GOLD-IRA. Consult your financial professionals before making investment decisions and get disclosures at AugustaPreciousMetals.com. Here's one of the points I want to make. Then we're going to move on to Hunter Biden. There's a lot to cover there, this crooked Biden family. As I point out in the Democrat Party Hates America, Marxists, fascists, autocrats generally explain away the horrendous, and I would argue the Democrat Party, explain away the horrendous and even barbaric conditions they create. Yet still appeal or attempt to appeal to the masses, quote-unquote, by focusing on the paradise they promise in the future. If only every individual surrenders their free will in part or whole to a small cabal of activists, revolutionaries, and ultimately autocratic masterminds. There's no better subject to illustrate such a ruse in today's world as climate change, which is central to the Democrat Party's growing authoritarianism over all aspects of American life. Every weather event or other natural event that causes damage or death is attributed to climate change, which in turn is said to require major changes in the quality of your life, the capitalist system, a reduction in economic growth and prosperity, increased taxation, a reduction in American sovereignty, and a significant expanse of governmental power. Indeed, every household product from gas stoves, light bulbs, dishwashers to air conditioners, washing machines, and anything else that uses energy is now subject to government control. And since the time is urgent, requiring an instant and colossal federally directed change to save the future of humanity, there's virtually no time for reflection, circumspection, or scientific and factual evaluation of past predictions and their accuracy, actually inaccuracy. The reason is that climate change is a politically and economically driven movement within the American Marxist framework that empowers the Democrat Party's ability to control the behavior of the people, to reach into your home, to reach into your garage, to make decisions about the quality of your life, what you can and cannot have, what you can and cannot develop, what you can and cannot manufacture. It is the greatest ruse in American history because there's no definition. The ambiguity means there's no boundaries. And in the name of saving society from a quote-unquote existential threat, anything and everything goes. The Democrat Party finally stumbled on an ideology, a nomenclature, a way to expand its power without limitation. And so it is. The Democrat Party Hates America. Grab your copy. When we come back, Biden Inc., the Biden crime family, the Biden mob family. There's a lot more to tell you about. We'll be right back. If we've learned anything over the past 2 years, it's that unexpected things can happen. For example, average IRA and 401k balances fell 20% last year, according to Fidelity. We didn't expect that, but here's something that could help if you have an IRA or 401k. Physical gold in your IRA. The World Gold Council says even central banks are buying tons of gold. Now, what does that tell you? Learn why many Americans are turning to a gold IRA with Augusta Precious Metals. They're the best. I recommend them to my friends and family. You should call Augusta and get their ultimate guide to gold IRAs. Feels good to know there's another savings option. Diversity is the key. Call Augusta Precious Metals at 8774-GOLD-IRA. That's 8774-GOLD-IRA, 8774-GOLD-IRA. Consult your financial professionals before making investment decisions and get disclosures at AugustaPreciousMetals.com.
Mark Levin, America's think tank. And you can call him at 877-381-3811.
Gary Shapley is the IRS whistleblower who you've seen all over TV lately. And he was on CBS Evening News yesterday. He was interviewed by a reporter by the name of Jim Axelrod. I don't know this man. I've only seen him once, and that was when he did this interview, and he did a very good job. I give him a 90%, A-. But for CBS News, that's a smiley face with 2 pluses. But he did do a very good job. And I want you to listen to this, just a couple of minutes, so you can understand. You know what's amazing to me? You'll have more reporting on Donald Trump. I have to spend a lot of time defending it, unraveling what's taking place, but more reporting and attacking on Donald Trump, who's not president, than Joe Biden, who is president and is crooked as hell. It's just like when they impeached Trump the first time. They were looking Russia, Russia, Russia. Then they concluded, all right, let's use Ukraine. Get his tax returns? Nothing. Now they think they're on documents. Oh, I got the documents. Oh, you should hear the audio on the documents. Oh, the documents. But here we have a Biden family that has been corrupt for 15 years, that has played fast and loose with the law. Trump is not. These allegations are more than allegations. There are real people behind them. Nobody's concocting, process crimes or anything like that. These are men who are coming forward, putting their necks on the line, some of them using their names, who've been in the bureaucracy forever, saying, holy crap, do you know what they did? Gary Shapley's one of them. He's a patriot and a brave man. I know nothing of him, but it doesn't matter. Cut one, go.
If this was any other person, they likely would have already served their sentence.
Gary Shapley was a lead IRS supervisory agent in Operation Sportsman, the investigation into Hunter Biden. Shapley said he uncovered conduct that warranted more serious charges.
There were personal expenses that were taken as business expenses.
Let's stop right there for a moment. There's a man serving 5 months in prison who's in his upper 70s. Was the chief operating officer for Trump's companies. He's doing time in prison for this. And Hunter Biden isn't even charged. Go ahead.
Sex club memberships, hotel rooms for purported drug dealers.
How much did Hunter Biden owe in taxes?
So from 2014 to 2019, it was $2.2 million.
The back taxes were paid off, and last week, the Trump-appointed U.S. Attorney in Delaware, David Weiss, reached an agreement with Hunter Biden.
Who paid off the back taxes? We still don't know that. Isn't that important to know? You owe a ton of money on $2.2 million. You haven't paid taxes in 4 or 5 years. Can you imagine? On $2.2 million. For doing literally nothing but shaking down foreign governments and foreign corporations. Running money through shell corporations. That is, shell accounts. In order to hide it from we the people. And you don't even pay your taxes on it. All this talk about, from the Democrats and Biden, about the rich not paying tax. This guy's a tax evader. He's a fraudster. And they don't even slap him on the hands. You could not possibly get away with that. And when it came to Donald Trump's staff, whether it was Manafort or Stone and these other issues, they threw the book at these people. Manafort served time in prison, in solitary confinement, and had a gag rule imposed on him by an Obama corrupt, phony, fraud, low IQ judge. That's right, I said it. Go ahead.
Son would admit to a firearm charge and plead guilty for his failure to pay taxes. If a judge signs off, the deal means no jail time.
Testimony we have just released details a lack of U.S. Attorney independence.
And Shapley told lawmakers that U.S. Attorney Weiss was blocked from bringing stronger charges. But U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland said last week that Weiss was not.
I would say he was given complete authority to make all decisions on his own.
I documented exactly what happened, and it doesn't seem to match what the Attorney General or the U.S. Attorney are saying today.
Shapley provided lawmakers this contemporaneous email he wrote after an October meeting last year. Shapley says Weiss told him the opposite, that Weiss is not the deciding person on whether charges are filed.
And by the way, here's the other problem. There were 6 witnesses in that meeting. So you have contemporary notes and 6 witnesses. Go ahead.
Me.
Shapley, who is still working for the IRS, told us that even before President Biden took office, he was directed to avoid leads involving Hunter's father.
There were certain investigative steps that we weren't allowed to take that could have led us to President Biden.
And you wanted to take them?
We needed to take them.
And you weren't allowed to take them?
That's correct.
It is important to point out that at that point in Shapley's investigation, Donald Trump was still president, and his Attorney General, William Barr, had rules in place that may have limited what Shapley could pursue.
This is a bizarre statement from this guy. This is why I said he was 90%. What is he? What rules were they in place by Donald Trump to prevent pursuing somebody for tax evasion? What rules? He doesn't say, because it's preposterous. And this IRS whistleblower, a supervisory agent, he knows it's preposterous. They were blocked from taking other steps, including getting a search warrant into apparently a cottage house on Joe Biden's very modest Lunch Bucket Joe estate in Wilmington, Delaware. They were blocked by the Assistant United States Attorney. They were blocked by the U.S. Attorney in Washington, D.C., Matthew Graves, from pursuing other leads. Period. Now, these are the same people, Matthew Graves, his U.S. Attorney's office in Washington, D.C., that are throwing the book at trespassers and paraders from January 6th, that started the 2 grand juries against Donald Trump. So what I'm telling you, and what I think the House Republicans have figured out, is this is all coming from Merrick Garland. This is all being organized by Merrick Garland and his deputy, Lisa Morano. And I'm sure in coordination with the White House. Now, what you will learn again when you read The Democrat Party Hates America is that FDR coordinated with his Attorney General, his Treasury Secretary, and the IRS to go after his political opponents. At the time, it wasn't known, but it became known long after his death. John Kennedy used the IRS and the FBI to leak information against his political opponents to, among others, Newsweek and the Washington Post. At the time was owned by the same corporation. Leaking to, among others, Ben Bradley, who, of course, would be behind the downfall of Richard Nixon. Lyndon Johnson used the FBI, the IRS, and the CIA not only to go after his Republican opponents, but his Democrat opponents and civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King, as did John Kennedy and Robert Kennedy. I don't want to hear this crap that Joe Biden has hands off and he doesn't know what the hell's going on with Donald Trump. Who has the biggest interest in seeing Donald Trump fold, Mr. Producer? Joe Biden. He's got more invested in this than anybody else. He benefits from this more than anybody else. And Merrick Garland knows it. This is a thoroughly corrupt regime, and it is a regime. It is backed by the Pravda media in Washington, D.C., which is another disgrace. The same media that backed every Democrat president I just mentioned to you. FDR, Kennedy, Johnson, and, of course, one after Nixon. That's the same media we're dealing with today. They didn't care when Democrats used the instrumentalities of government against their opponents. But, boy, you would have thought Nixon was the first. Nixon was a lightweight. He was a minor league player compared to Roosevelt, Kennedy, and Johnson. A minor leaguer. The farm team. Didn't matter. They talk about Trump not following the Constitution, Trump not abiding by the rule of law. What rule of law did Trump violate? Oh, the documents. It's a very complex area that's never been used against an ex-president, and certainly not a candidate for president. Oh, it's black and white. No, it's not. I'm gathering information now, a lot of it, that I'm going to use next week. Not this Sunday, next Sunday's Life, Liberty, and Levin. It just takes time to pull it together. I'm not going to tip you off any further because of the backbenchers who are listening, but it's going to astound you, absolutely astound you, and I think move the ball further in our favor. Go ahead, Mr. Producer.
The U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware had no comment. As for Hunter Biden, his attorneys did not respond to us, but he said before in a statement that he is taking responsibility for mistakes he made during a period of turmoil in his life.
Boy, his period of turmoil lasted a long time. His father's a wrecking ball, and he's a wrecking ball. But that's no excuse. No excuse whatsoever. Breitbart, whistleblower number 2, Hunter Biden willfully evaded millions in taxes through an elaborate scheme. Now, what's this? Christina Wong writes, Hunter Biden agreed to plead guilty last week to 2 misdemeanor counts of failing to pay taxes on time, but according to the second whistleblower, the second one, whose testimony was also released last week by the House Ways and Means Committee, he also willfully evaded paying millions in taxes in an elaborate tax scheme. According to the second whistleblower, the lead IRS case agent for the Hunter Biden investigation, whose name is redacted, Hunter Biden set up a scheme involving a Ukrainian natural gas company, Burisma. He sat on the board of, and a Chinese business associate to willfully evade paying taxes. Well, now, what did he do? The whistleblower said Hunter Biden had already owed hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes long before his father became vice president. In 2014, when Joe Biden was in his second term as vice president in charge of Ukraine policy, and when Ukrainian natural gas company Burisma put Hunter on its board of directors, Burisma paid him $666,000 to do little or no work. According to the whistleblower, Hunter Biden received the money from Burisma, and instead of reporting it as income, ready, and paying taxes on it, he put that money into a Chinese firm run by one of Hunter Biden's associates, who then loaned the money to Hunter Biden. So Hunter Biden, the whistleblower, testified, sets this out in this email, and what ends up happening is, if you are an owner of a company and your friend tells you that, I want to pay my wages to your company, and you're going to loan the money back to me, that's essentially what happened here. He took loans from the corporation, which were distributions, and he didn't pay taxes on those loans. So he took loans from himself, but laundered it through a phony company so he wouldn't have to pay income taxes. So essentially for 2014, we had found that Hunter Biden didn't report any of the money he earned from Burisma. So the reason why this is important is because Hunter set it up this way, to essentially earn the money through his friend's corporation and then have his friend pay him back half of the money as loans, quote-unquote, loans. Whistleblower said none of it was taxed, so none of this had been paid or prosecuted, and I would also like to note that the statute has run out on these tax years, on the 2014 tax year. So in other words, this prosecutor is sitting on his fat ass, and now we have a statute of limitations that ran on this particular, on this particular fraudulent activity. What do you think, folks? No big deal? He says you can't loan yourself your own money. Just doesn't make any sense. When asked if the transaction seemed to be a sham, whistleblower answered, so yes, I would agree. Transactions would. You would want to sham the transactions. Yes. And, of course, the hypocrisy is unbelievable. The Democrat Party, circle the wagons, not a single left-wing Democrat on any news show has condemned this. None. Not one. Where's Schumer? Where is he? Where's Adam Schiff? Where are any of them? They are nowhere. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
If we've learned anything over the past 2 years, it's that unexpected things can happen. For example, average IRA and 401k balances fell 20% last year, according to Fidelity. We didn't expect that, but here's something that could help if you have an IRA or 401k. Physical gold in your IRA. The World Gold Council says even central banks are buying tons of gold. Now, what does that tell you? Learn why many Americans are turning to a gold IRA with Augusta Precious Metals. They're the best. I recommend them to my friends and family. You should call Augusta and get their ultimate guide to gold IRAs. Feels good to know there's another savings option. Diversity is the key. Call Augusta Precious Metals at 8774-GOLD-IRA. That's 8774-GOLD-IRA, 8774-GOLD-IRA. Consult your financial professionals before making investment decisions and get disclosures at AugustaPreciousMetals.com. There's a piece now here. The Washington Examiner by Byron York, chief political correspondent. I remember when Byron York, when I was director of the civil rights part of Landmark Legal Foundation, working out of Washington, D.C. Geez, how many years ago was that? Long time ago. Would come to my office from time to time. He was an NBC News producer, but he was also a conservative. I don't hear from Byron anymore. He's a good guy, but he's with the beautiful people. And you know who else used to come to my office? Paul G. Gott, the editorial leader over there at the Wall Street Journal. He used to come to my office often. Never hear from him again. He's definitely with the beautiful people. Oh, my goodness. You know who else used to come to my office? A man who used to be a conservative and supported Clarence Thomas. Then he started Media Matters and these other organizations. And he flipped. He flipped out. There's a lot of activity coming and going from my office. Just little old me. In a little old office. Washington, D.C. Part of a little old law firm called the Landmark Legal Foundation. But they came, and many more. I'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. New York Times, our friends at the Daily Wire, New York Times buries the lead, but confirms that Hunter Biden probe whistleblower claims by Daniel Chayton. A new report from the New York Slimes tells of a source confirming whistleblower allegations that constraints were in fact placed on the federal investigation into Hunter Biden, but it takes some digging to find out. In other words, they buried it in their column, much like they buried the Holocaust. As noted Tuesday by Washington Free Beacon reporter Chuck Ross, that guy's good, the publication waited 20 paragraphs to state the newsworthy tidbit about the source who added credibility to claims of additional charges against President Joe Biden's son getting blocked. New York Times reported in the 20th paragraph that IRS Supervisory Special Agent Garrett Shapley's whistleblower testimony claiming that a mid-2022 bid by Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss to pursue charges in Washington, D.C. got rejected by the top federal prosecutor in the nation's capital. You remember I've talked about this Matthew Graves over and over and over and over again, and he's the one that's unleashed holy hell against protesters on January 6th. I'm not talking about violence, just any. And to a man and a woman, the black-robed honors there, judges, have thrown the book and the book and the book after one of these citizens after another. And here we are in Hunter Biden's case. Same jurisdiction. And Mr. Graves, the U.S. attorney there, with all kinds of links to the Democrat Party. And, of course, they don't mention Mr. Graves appointed by Biden. No. David Weiss, the Wilmington U.S. attorney appointed by Trump. But what happened to Mr. Graves, the U.S. attorney appointed by Biden? They never say that. So Chuck Ross pointed out the New York Times waited 20 paragraphs to state the newsworthy tidbit about the source who added credibility to claims of additional charges against Biden's son Hunter. The New York Times reported in the 20th paragraph that IRS Supervisory Special Agent Gary Shapley's whistleblower testimony claimed that a mid-2022 bid by Delaware's U.S. Attorney David Weiss to pursue charges in Washington, D.C. got rejected by the top federal prosecutor in the nation's capital. Why? Oh, they're busy getting Trump. Quote, a similar request to prosecutors in the Central District of California, which includes L.A., was also rejected, Mr. Shapley testified. The report of the New York Times added in the 21st paragraph. And they said in the 21st paragraph, a second former IRS official who's not been identified told House Republicans the same story. That episode was confirmed independently to the New York Times by a person with knowledge of the situation. There were 6 people in that meeting who were witnesses, who heard the same damn thing. Mr. Shapley wrote it in an email, who took copious notes. Smart man. The reporting about the source could be significant, as Attorney General Merrick Garland has denied allegations of political interference in the investigation, which so far has amounted to a plea deal for Hunter Biden for tax and gun violations. Ross and others called out the New York Times for the low priority placement. New York Times buries in the 21st paragraph that it has an independent source who confirms the 2 IRS whistleblowers claim that David Weiss said he was blocked from bringing charges against Hunter Biden in California. Of course they did, responded the House Judiciary Committee GOP's account. They buried the lead, added Jason Foster, a former investigative counsel in the Senate who founded government watchdog group Empower Oversight. Tristan Levitt, president of Empower Oversight and a lawyer representing Shapley, responded with a pair of exclamation points. The best way to read stories in the New York Times or the Washington Post is from the bottom up, tweeted David Harsany, senior editor at The Federalist. By the way, we reached out to Mr. Levitt. Did we get any response, Mr. Producer? We reached out to the other lawyer for Mr. Shapley. Did we get any response from him? We reached out to Mr. Shapley directly. Did we get any response from him? 3 times and we're out, I guess. Mr. Garland, Friday, pushed back on the whistleblower allegations. He said he was given complete authority to make all decisions on his own. I don't know how it would be possible for anybody to block him from bringing a prosecution, given that he has the authority. And I broke those words down with you on Friday. The Attorney General has also denied assertions that Weiss sought but was turned down special counsel status. How many times have I said, why haven't they appointed a special counsel, for God's sakes? Which could have allowed him broader authority to bring charges outside of his jurisdiction. Mr. Weiss never made that request, Garland said. Mr. Weiss doesn't have to make that request, Mr. Garland. That's on you. Weiss sent a letter to House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan this month in which the U.S. Attorney indicated he'd been granted the ultimate authority in the Hunter Biden matter, including for prosecutions consistent with federal law. Well, he's got a problem on his hands, too, because there's contemporaneous email, other notes, witnesses. Oh, my goodness. And it's good. Because Mr. McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, is looking at impeachment hearings. How do I know? From PJ Media. Our buddy Matt Margolis, one of the best. McCarthy set stage for possible impeachment hearings against Merrick Garland. On Sunday, House Speaker McCarthy indicated the House GOP could ignite an impeachment inquiry against scandal-plagued U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland. The inquiry is predicated on whether IRS Criminal Supervisory Special Agent Gary Shapley's claim the U.S. Attorney Weiss wanted to be appointed as special counsel for the Department of Justice investigation into Hunter Biden proves to be accurate. Well, now we have a second source from the New York Times. They buried it, but some of us can read to the 20th and 21st paragraph, can't we, America? Shapley named 6 witnesses to Weiss's claim during the October meeting in a statement from his legal team. 6 witnesses. In October 7, 2022, meeting at the Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office, U.S. Attorney David Weiss told 6 witnesses he did not have authority to charge in other districts and had thus requested special counsel status, Shapley's attorney said in a statement. Those 6 witnesses include, and they named them, Baltimore FBI Special Agent in Charge Tom Sobocinski, an Assistant Special Agent in Charge Rishia Holly, IRS Assistant Special Counsel in Charge Gary Shapley, and Special Agent in Charge Darrell Walden, who also independently and contemporaneously corroborated Mr. Shapley's account in an email, now public. So that's 3, really. You've got Shapley, you've got Darrell Walden, and you've got it anonymous out in L.A. That's 3. 3 against Merrick Garland. 3. Seems to me the standard has been met for an impeachment inquiry. And why an impeachment inquiry? Gives them much more broad authority. Shapley has no explanation for why Weiss would make these statements if they weren't true. His legal team argues that since his statement can be corroborated, it's up to Mr. Weiss and the Justice Department. It's up to them to make it clear. Now, McCarthy gave a date for when the impeachment inquiry could begin. Well, you apparently don't follow me on Twitter, he said, because yesterday I laid out, he says this to Brian Kilmeade, yesterday I laid out very, very clearly, by July 6th, because of the allegations from the IRS, because of the whistleblowers, what Garland is saying and what Mr. David Weiss is saying privately are 2 different things. If it comes true what the IRS whistleblower is saying, we're going to start impeachment inquiries on the Attorney General. By my calculation, Mr. Producer, July 6th is 2 days after July 4th. That would be Thursday. Next Thursday. That would be very, very important. But there's more in the Hunter Biden scandal. I know. Mika Brzezinski is focused on Trump. I got it. I'm focused where I'm focused. Fox News. Hunter demanded $10 million from Chinese energy firm because Bidens are the best and have connections. So we have more contemporaneous evidence against the Bidens. This is on top of the text that by now you're well familiar with. Hunter Biden told Chinese energy company his family is, quote, the best I know, at doing exactly what the chairman wants from his partnership, unquote. What does the chairman want? Access. And, of course, let's step back. Step back. I'm giving you a lot of it. Let's step back and think this through. Joe Biden has single-handedly destroyed our energy system in this country. He's using climate change as camouflage and self-righteous proclamations and executive orders They're shutting down drilling. They're shutting down drilling in federal areas. They're making it almost impossible to have any new drilling, whether on the continental United States or offshore or anywhere else. They're shutting down fracking. They're not approving pipelines. They're closing those down. They're destroying our energy infrastructure, destroying it. Then they claim we're all going to go towards clean energy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if we have no energy, that's the cleanest energy there is. But it makes for a very horrible life, doesn't it? So I want to go further. So they say they want to go with electric vehicles. Most of the material in these electric vehicles come from communist China. They say they want to go with electricity. Well, we're not going to have enough electricity. The experts have said when you cut off coal, natural gas, that is fracking and all the rest, that is what creates electricity. It doesn't just happen. And you think to yourself, what are we doing to ourselves? We're committing energy suicide. So who benefits from all this? Who benefits from all this, Mr. Producer? The communist Chinese. They build the solar power panels. They build those massive propellers that are outrageous. They build the batteries for our cars, electric vehicles, because they have the cobalt and all the rest. They've sewn all that up. They've locked it up. Joe Biden is not doing things that benefit us. He's doing things that benefit communist China. Think about it. Think about it. The communist Chinese have benefited enormously by Joe Biden. We even had a special unit at the Department of Justice focused on communist Chinese government spies stealing our intelligence. The FBI director said this is our greatest threat. Joe Biden shut it down. He shut it down. He said he doesn't like the ethnic connotation that's applied to it. Why are we picking on the communist Chinese? What do you mean, why are we picking on the communist Chinese? He shut it down. Joe Biden has delivered for the Communist Party regime in China. He's delivered for them. His guy, John Kerry, has delivered for them. Bernie Sanders has delivered for them. The Democrat Party has delivered for the Communist Chinese and is destroying our energy infrastructure and energy independence. I hope everybody understands this. The Communist Chinese got their money's worth and a hell of a lot more. This is a massive cover-up that's taking place right now. The Biden family sold out the country. Any serious effort, even by patriotic and courageous IRS officials, mid-level FBI officials, being shut down by U.S. attorneys, including in Washington, D.C., who at the drop of a hat go after average citizens for anything and everything. We're going to take a break. I want to get into this latest additional piece of evidence against the Bidens when we return. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. If you're with them, you're overpaying, pure and simple. Pure Talk can easily save your family over $900 a year. Right now, get unlimited talk, unlimited text, and ultra-fast 5G data for just $20 a month. $20 a month. What about the coverage, you ask? It's phenomenal. I'm on it. Pure Talk uses the most dependable 5G network in the nation. Just go to puretalk.com and use promo code Levin Podcast to get unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data. Just $20 a month. Pure Talk's amazing U.S. customer service team will make switching very easy. So choose a veteran-owned company that cares about keeping jobs in America and saving you money. Go to puretalk.com. Use promo code Levin Podcast for unlimited talk and text with plenty of 5G data for just $20 a month. Again, when you go to puretalk.com and use promo code Levin Podcast, you'll save an additional 50% off your first month with Pure Talk. Biden told Chinese energy company his family, quote, is the best I know at doing exactly what the chairman wants from this partnership. Hunter Biden demanded $10 million. This is another demand from a Chinese business associate to, quote, further the interests, unquote, of his joint venture with a Chinese energy company, saying that the Bidens are the best I know at doing exactly what the chairman of the Chinese Communist Party-linked firm wanted, according to a new released WhatsApp message. House Oversight Committee released the message dated August 3, 2017. The exchanges between Hunter Biden and CEFC associate Godwin Dang. It's a wholly different shakedown with a different company, another Communist Front Group company, an energy company. Very simple, Hunter writes. $10 million per annum budget to use to further the interest of the JV. This move to $5 million is completely new to me and is not acceptable, obviously. Can you believe this, Mr. Producer? And what is he selling? Do any of these texts say, in exchange for the genius of my knowledge, in exchange for... Nothing. I want my money. That's all he wants. Hunter breaks down how expenditures and expenses will be determined in consultation with his firms, Owasco and Hudson West. The chairman doesn't value this relationship as being worth at least $5 million, then I'm just baffled, Hunter writes. I'm tired of this. I can make $5 million salary at any law firm in America. If you think this is about money, it's not. He adds, the Bidens are the best I know at doing exactly what the chairman wants from this partnership. Please, let's not quibble over peanuts. He doesn't want $5 million. He wants $10 million. According to a September 2020 report released by the Senate Homeland Security Committee and Senate Finance Committee of their investigation into Hunter's foreign business dealings, Ye Jianming, Godwin Dang, and other Chinese nationals that Hunter Biden had business associations with were linked to the Chinese Communist government and People's Liberation Army. Man, did they get their money's worth out of Big Joe. Out of Mr. 10%, the big guy. They got their money's worth, baby. And you're paying the price in higher energy costs. I'll be right back. Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. If you're with them, you're overpaying, pure and simple. Pure Talk can easily save your family over $900 a year. Right now, get unlimited talk, unlimited text, and ultra-fast 5G data for just $20 a month. $20 a month. What about the coverage, you ask? It's phenomenal. I'm on it. Pure Talk uses the most dependable 5G network in the nation. Just go to puretalk.com and use promo code Levin Podcast to get unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data. Just $20 a month. Pure Talk's amazing U.S. customer service team will make switching very easy. So choose a veteran-owned company that cares about keeping jobs in America and saving you money. Go to puretalk.com. Use promo code Levin Podcast for unlimited talk and text with plenty of 5G data for just $20 a month. Again, when you go to puretalk.com and use promo code Levin Podcast, you'll save an additional 50% off your first month with Pure Talk.
Conservatism with passion. The Mark Levin Show. Call in now. 877-381-3811.
What's really needed here, folks, I'm being honest, as I always am. Merrick Garland should recuse himself. He's now the subject of enormous controversy involving multiple levels of this massive cover-up. The Deputy Attorney General is also corrupt, so she can't be the one to appoint a special counsel. And you go down the list. My advice is that the Inspector General at the Department of Justice step in. Take an extraordinary step. And begin an investigation into the corruption starting at the top of the Department of Justice, including the refusal to appoint a special counsel. You and I and the Republicans on the Hill, though, should be pressuring for the appointment of a special counsel to investigate Joe Biden specifically. And I have a name that I would recommend, Brent Tolman, who was the U.S. Attorney from Utah. He's a lot smarter than Jack Smith, a lot more experienced, and a lot more honest, for sure. I believe that needs to be done. Then a special counsel, second, unfortunately, needs to be appointed to investigate Merrick Garland. He's a mobster boss. That's what he is. He's a mob lawyer. He's a mob lawyer. I've never seen a situation like this where an attorney general doesn't recuse himself and or appoint a special counsel. That is, he should have appointed a special counsel and then recused himself. He's done neither. The deputy attorney general is equally as corrupt. In fact, the whole lineage there is, which is why the inspector general should step up. And I am contemplating actions, not next week, but the week after, with certain individuals who I'm close with, unrelated to politics, but completely related to the law, to making a particular kind of filing with the Inspector General of the Department of Justice. I'll talk it out with them, they'll talk it out with me, and we'll see if we can accomplish that. But at a minimum, I want to expose a few things, not this week, but week after on Fox. I want to get back to this. This latest, he's shaking down this other Communist Chinese party for $10 million. Now, you're Xi. You're Xi, the Hitler of China. And you're watching all this. These are all your guys. And you got Hunter saying, I'm sitting with my daddy here. We want $10 million, not $5 million in bribes. 10 days later, they get $5.1 million. 10 days later, after that call. Excuse me, after that text. Then here's a new one. Here's a new one. He's shaking down another communist Chinese official, member of the People's Liberation Army. He says, what's with this $5 million? I want $10 million. Days after that message, he got $5 million wired to the Bank of Hudson West III, a firm that Hunter Biden opened with Chinese associates. This is incredible. These funds, I quote the article, may have originated from a loan issued from the account of a company called Northern International Capital Holdings. So they overwhelm us with this red tape of shell bank accounts and LLCs, various companies that they create, endless names that they give to these companies. Now, if you're in a straight business, why do you need to be doing all this? It should be Hunter Biden's business. In exchange for our blank, 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 we require service fees of blank, blank, blank. None of that. Nothing like it. So the report also stated the same day the $5 million was received and continuing through September 25, 2018, Hudson West III, remember that's Hunter's company, sent request payments to Oswako, Hunter Biden's firm. Report stated the payments were described as consulting fees and reached almost $5 million in just over a year. But the new WhatsApp message is not the first correspondence revealing Hunter Biden's discussions about the $10 million wire for his joint venture, Sino-Hawk Holdings, and whether his father, President Joe Biden, was involved. Fox News Digital in December 2020 first reported on the text messages between Hunter business associates Tony Bobulinski and James Gilliar discussing the joint venture with CEFC. Now, Bobulinski's there. He's ready to testify. He's even spoken to the FBI 4 or 5 hours. They never circled back. It's like the laptop. The FBI is the laptop, and they've basically killed it. As for the $10 million, Fox News Digital in December 2020 first reported on an email Hunter sent on June 18, 2017 to Germain at the CFC, asking that they please, quote, translate my letter to Chairman Yi. So this guy is constantly shaking down the communist Chinese who are happy to do it. He was shaking down the prior Ukrainian corrupt government, got this Berinska job, this job with this phony oil company. Now you know exactly why Joe Biden was telling the Ukrainian government, get rid of this prosecutors investigating, essentially his son's employer. It's incredible. And you still have people like Joe Scarborough, Mika Brzezinski, Joy Reid, the conga line of low lives, low IQ morons. And MSLSD and CNN. The New York Slimes and the Washington Compost, to the point they expose anything, it's in paragraph 21. Paragraph 21, ladies and gentlemen. Money's pouring in, left and right. So what exactly did Hunter Biden do for the money? What advice did he give these companies? Was it in writing? He sent them emails? He sent them reports? White papers? PDF? Word perfect? What did he do? By pigeon? Homing pigeon? What? How did he communicate his hard work for his $10 million shakedown of one communist Chinese official, $10 million shakedown of another communist party official? Then when the money comes to this end, he does two things. He gives money to one company and says, oh, by the way, let's treat this like you're loaning me money so I don't have to pay taxes on it. That is tax fraud. That is evasion. And so I noticed that over at CNN and MSNBC, they're not exploring this with their legal analysts. Why don't they bring in a few tax experts who've actually had to deal with cases like this and ask them, have you ever seen anything like this? Yeah, with the mob. The mob! Then you have this ass, Anna Navarro, on The View. She's crying, oh, the family relationship between Hunter and his son. Go to hell, you moron. Her husband, a rhino, used to support Jeb Bush. I think he used to run CPAC for a while. Oh, great. Or the Republican Party of Florida or something. I'm sure he ran him right into the ground with this beauty on his arm. All this going on. And what does Mika Brzezinski focus on? Of the famous Brzezinski family. Their daddy despised Israel. Oh, yes, I know Mika. You know what Mika spells backward, Mr. Producer? Akim. You know what Akim means? Nothing. Anyway, here's Mika on the Morning Joe. And by the way, Mika, shouldn't you be telling your husband, why is it called the Morning Joe? Should it be called the Morning Mika? And now that it's official that you two are together, everybody knew you were anyway, but now that it's official that you're together, why don't you call it the Morning Mika and Joe? I like that, don't you, Mr. Producer? Cut 3, go.
Yeah, many legal experts will say this man has been caught in a lie. And as Caddy K pointed out, his body language... Wait a minute,
Caddy K? Caddy K pointed it out? Caddy K, what is that, an old-time cowboy, cowgirl? Caddy K, here's Caddy K. Oh, look at her rounding up the cattle. She's as Caddy K pointed out. Well, Caddy K, well-known expert on whatever she's an expert on. Go ahead.
Really does reflect that. He looks exhausted, and he's sort of, these little lies are coming out here and there, a smattering of lies here.
What are you talking about? Talking about Joe Biden with his eyes squinting? Have you noticed he's squinting all the time? Yeah, what do you... Yes. No, I said I wasn't involved. No! Where's Mama? Where's Jill? Where's my sister? Who's what? Where am I going? Hello? Go ahead.
Lies there. He's running for his life, they would say. Running from jail time.
Oh. You know, she used to be a reporter. I'm sure she was very objective. Very objective. She's a hack. There's John Bolton. Shouldn't John Bolton be in prison, in my humble opinion? Didn't he give up secrets in his book? Wasn't he admonished by federal judge Royce Lamberth or something? Didn't he get in a fight with Billy? With the former Attorney General, Billy Barr? Didn't he get in a fight with him? He pushed out his book. He had his lawyer there, Chuck Cooper. Oh, this is free speech, don't you? No, it's not. So now we have Johnny Bolton, who's attacking Trump for maybe things that he did without the defense of the Presidential Records Act. Let's check it out, because everybody wants to know what Johnny Bolton says. He's now on CNN. He's a welcome presence there. Cut 4, go!
Well, look, some of his rivals who are running against him in the 2024 field are basically saying that he shouldn't be tried at all just because he is a former president and just because he's a candidate.
Who said that? Abby Phillip, ladies and gentlemen. Propagandist, mental midget. What are you talking about? Which power person said he shouldn't be charged because he's running? Abby Phillips, America. There you go. Or Phillip, excuse me, singular. Go ahead.
What do you think about that?
I think that disqualifies those people from being president. And I think I would say the same.
There he goes. There he goes. That's a disqualification, says Johnny Bolton. Go ahead.
For any of them who have said he should be pardoned. Part of the equal application of the law.
We need lectures from this idiot about the equal application of law, when we know damn well that this isn't the equal application of the law. This is where you have these former disgruntled employees who are so angry. You got Johnny Bolton, Billy Barr. We could have a whole, we ought to have a whole gathering of these people. Don't you think, Mr. Perdue? Wouldn't that be cool? Pull that idiot off the View. What's her name? Griffin or whatever her name. Oh yeah, and then we could have a whole room, room full of these disloyal, disgruntled individuals. I've never been fired from a job. Never ever been disloyal to an employer. Wonder what that's like. And yet then there's all these people who are exactly that. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. If you're with them, you're overpaying, pure and simple. Pure Talk can easily save your family over $900 a year. Right now, get unlimited talk, unlimited text, and ultra-fast 5G data for just $20 a month. $20 a month. What about the coverage, you ask? It's phenomenal. I'm on it. Pure Talk uses the most dependable 5G network in the nation. Just go to puretalk.com and use promo code Levin Podcast to get unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data. Just $20 a month. Pure Talk's amazing U.S. customer service team will make switching very easy. So choose a veteran-owned company that cares about keeping jobs in America and saving you money. Go to puretalk.com. Use promo code Levin Podcast for unlimited talk and text with plenty of 5G data for just $20 a month. Again, when you go to puretalk.com and use promo code Levin Podcast, you'll save an additional 50% off your first month with Pure Talk. Why is Vanna White getting a lawyer, Mr. Producer? Do you know? How about Mr. Producer in the background there? Does he know? How about Mr. Call Screener? Does anybody know? I saw that and I was so bored with it I didn't even read it. Well, I want to thank my brain trust. None of us know. Because none of us care, I suppose. Liz Cheney, Dizzy Lizzie, she's at the Aspen Ideas Festival with her new friends. Do they have ideas in Aspen? I don't know. The Aspen Ideas Festival. You know what, Mr. Producer? We have a Mark Levin Ideas Festival here every night, 6 to 9 p.m. Well, we'll have to wait till after the top of the hour for Liz Cheney at the Aspen Ideas Festival. Hey, I have some ideas. Shut up, Liz. Nobody really cares. I'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Well, thank God Chris Christie's going to clear everything up for us, Mr. Producer. So we have a wide-angle chair for the young man. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It be me, and me be I. And between the two of us, we'll get to the bottom of things. Thank you. Well, we left off the last hour with Dizzy Lizzy, the Cheney family, which apparently owned slaves at one point, Mr. Producer, unlike the Trump family, they never owned slaves. Or my family, some 3,000 years ago, helped build the pyramids, apparently. What do you think of that? Anyway, here we have Dizzy Lizzy, and she's at the Aspen Ideas Festival. Do you like the sanctimony of these fools? We're going to have a festival in Aspen. Liz will pay $15,000 if you can come out here and in your presence, and if you have any ideas, you can tell. And, of course, her idea is Republicans bad, Trump bad, she good. That's worth $50,000. So Liz Cheney's out there now grifting for speeches. What else is she going to do? Cut 5, go.
It's really important for Democrats to take him seriously. You know, there can be a tendency I see sometimes for people on the Democratic side to say, well, look, sure, you know, the Republicans will nominate him. The Republicans are a mess, but we'll be able to beat him in a general. And that is playing with fire, and it's a risk we can't take. So I think it's really important for everyone to look at the threat that he poses apart from party ideology and realize it's something that we have to take very seriously and we've got to stand against.
No wonder they invited her. So profound. So unique. The wisdom is unbelievable. It's coming out of her pores, or every pore. Her every orifice. We have to take the Trump threat seriously, she says, at the Aspen Ideas Festival. This is her idea. We have to take him seriously. We can't just let him be nominated and claim you're going to beat him in a general election. I wrote something down and put it in my desk. I pray to God it never happens, Mr. Producer. It's a prediction. I'm not going to tell you, folks. If it never happens, thank God. But unfortunately, if it does, I'm going to pull it out of my desk and I'm going to read it to you. I have to be honest with you. I've never seen such hate towards an individual in my life. In my life. People will lie about it. People will twist the facts. People will do all kinds of stuff. Joe Biden, Mr. Big, 10%. He was in Chicago today. I'm sure he visited the most downtrodden areas, but of course he didn't. Mr. Bidenomics, he's the Biden in the Bidenomics, if you hadn't figured it. Biden, I remember when they used to attack Reaganomics. It was the greatest economic explosion of growth in American history. And it's only for the rich. Created the biggest economic expansion in American history by following conservative free market practices. Well, those have never worked. Yeah, okay. You also got the biggest vote of any Republican in history, popular vote, and electoral college vote. It's a big deal. But here's Biden today. Chicago. Still hasn't gone to Palestine, Ohio, by the way. Nothing there. Move along. Cut 6. Go.
The economy that grows the economy from the middle out, the bottom up, instead of just...
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Middle out, bottom up. Hold on a second. Middle out, bottom up. Mr. Producer, doesn't that sound like pornographic? From the middle up and the bottom out. The middle and the bottom. What's with this guy? The middle. Go ahead.
The economy that grows the economy from the middle out, the bottom up, instead of just the top down. When that happens, everybody does well. The wealthy still do it. Everybody does well.
Nobody has any idea what the hell this moron's talking. Instead of the top down, the middle, bottom up. Bottoms up. Where's my drink? Bottoms up. Bottoms up. The middle out. Top down. Where am I? Where are we going? Iraq. Iran. God save the Queen. Yes, okay. Bottoms up. Go ahead.
Poor have a ladder up, and the wealthy still do well.
The wealthy still do well. Do they pay their taxes like your son, you jackass? Do they? All this wealthy stuff. Doesn't he sound like a Marxist? What a putz. This guy's been on a government salary his entire life, except for 2 years. And all of a sudden, he's got a mansion in Wilmington. He's got a mansion in Rehoboth Beach on the ocean. He's got a $150,000 Corvette. Oh, my God, where did it come from? I don't know anything about my son. Now, get away from me. Go ahead.
This vision is a fundamental break from the economic
Why will
theory.
Chris Christie show up everywhere except on my show, Mr. Producer? Everywhere. Everywhere. And the benefit of radio is he doesn't really have to present his physical self. Do you understand what I'm saying? Didn't he get one of those bans? I think he did. I think he broke the damn thing. Not trying to be rude. Just calling him as I see him. Go ahead.
America's middle class for decades now. It's called trickle down.
Hey, listen. We've been helping America's middle class here. Bottom up, middle out, top down, left in, right out. Hey, I used to play football, you know. Yeah, middle in, top left. Anyway, I got this Bidenomics. We're doing a hell of a job here. Those of you who have 29% interest on your credit card, you can thank me for that. 7% interest mortgage, that's me. Thank me. I'm bottom up, middle out. Oh, yeah. Food prices through the roof. Yeah, up. That's me. That's me, Biden. Inflation, record inflation. We like to break records there. God save the Queen. Oh, yeah. Economy's great. Have you filled up your car lately? Yeah. Gasoline is cheaper today than it was 12 months ago. You were president then, too. Yeah, right. Shut up. What do you think you are? Yeah. I got the border secure like never before. Oh, yeah. It's a hell of a thing. We got infrastructure money. We got everything going on here. Bidenomics. We got more fentanyl flown into America than ever before. I did that. It's a record. We can't find 85,000 migrant children. That's right. It's another record, you know. Oh, I like my records. I like the DVDs, too. Oh, yeah, the sex trade down there on the border. It's all a lie. It's lies by MAGA extremists. You know, it's not your father's Republican Party anymore. That's right. MAGA extremists. All these white supremacists out there. And I know them when I see them because I used to be one, you know. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I've lived a life. You wouldn't believe it. By the way, Dr. Jill's here, ladies and gentlemen, over here. Dr. Jill. She's a PhD in education, you know. Yes, she does. I don't know what I do without her, yeah. Every now and then she gives me CPR. That's about it. That's about it. Bidenomics. I mean Reaganomics. I mean Bidenomics. Oh, yeah. Those shortages in the food stores? That's big grocery there. That big grocery does it. You should see the guys that own these grocery stores. They're all fat and happy. Oh, yeah. Eat more tasty cakes? Oh, that's unbelievable, these guys, huh? The titans of tofu, I can't stand it. It's Bidenomics. Oh, yeah. Bidenomics. Ladies and gentlemen. This guy's an idiot. And so I just posted and I've asked, you neurologists out there, we need your help. We need your help. I don't mean me in particular. I mean him in particular. Can't you speak out? You know what you see here. Can't you speak out and tell the American people, this guy is officially imbecilic? Not only shouldn't he run for re-election, he shouldn't be president now. Can you imagine this guy 6 years from now at the end of his second term if he's elected? Count on the Democrats. The Democrats hate America. They'll vote for anything. Anyone, anything. They gave us Obama. They wanted John Kerry. Democrats don't care. I said in the beginning of the show. They'll support an orange juice can or a kumquat or whatever it is, as long as they get their agenda. You know, that Joe, there's something about his charisma there. My wife bumps into some idiot in our community. She has a PhD. Second marriage. They've got 6 or 7 kids between them. And my wife's a runner. She bumps into her and they get to talk. Big lib. Big lib. She says, Trump is always a liar. You can't trust Trump. Joe Biden, on the other hand, she said, is earnest. He's earnest. I said, who's earnest? No, he's earnest. Oh, okay. And so she's a loser. There's no persuading her. She's a dimwit. And you'll find dimwits all along the ladder of intelligence, by the way. Dimwit means not that you have a high IQ. You can't reason. You're irrational. You're a dimwit. She's a dimwit. And I hope her children don't become dim-witted. She's clearly married to a dimwit. Dimwit. She's PhD. Joe Biden is earnest. All this corruption swirling around this puke. Oh, he's earnest. What about Trump? What a liar we got this. It's Trump. Sounds like Mika Brzezinski. Looks a little like Joe Biden, John Bolton, I might say. So let us continue. If you haven't lost your place, Mr. Producer, cut 7, go.
Folks, let me say it as clearly as I can. Trickle-down approach failed the middle class. It failed America.
The trickle-down failed the middle class? Trickle-down is big government. It's not the private sector. Private sector rewards merit. You don't get merit in government. They never talk about merit. They talk about race. They talk about redistributing wealth. They talk about tenure and public sector. They never talk about merit. Where's merit? And trickle-down never worked. That's right. Reagan's economy never worked, America. Yeah, we're dealing with this guy. Trickle-down? Trickle-down is what happens on your leg, you jerk. Look at Joe. He's trickling down again. Go ahead.
Blew up the deficit and increased inequity and weakened our infrastructure.
Shut up, you idiot. Why am I even wasting my life? I want to apologize to you, America. I just cost you 5 minutes of your life and 5 minutes of my life. You know, life is finite. It's finite. I shouldn't have done that to you. I can't give you the 5 minutes back, but you'll do something enjoyable after the show. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
So we're going to have the economy bottom up, middle out, and up yours. as I posted minutes ago, brilliantly, I might add, the Biden propaganda campaign begins. Bidenomics? They're proud of all the families who are struggling thanks to their massive deficit spending. Record high inflation rate, double-digit credit card interest rates, record high mortgage interest rates, record high food and gas prices and supply chain shortages. Yeah, you run on that. Middle up, screw you, through the back, whatever. Meanwhile, did you see this article? You see what was found by investigators? Listen to this. Hundreds of billions, 200 billion taxpayer dollars, which they took from you, supposedly for COVID, are literally unaccounted for. Did you read that, Mr. Producer? $200 billion. That's a fifth of $1 trillion. They spend your money like drunken, crooked bastards. And we need more. We need more for education. We need more for health care. We need more for the old people, the young people, the middle in, the upper out. And we need it. We need more money for education and indoctrination. $200 billion unaccounted for. Anyone going to go to prison? Any politician hold to account? How about the president? He held to account? No. He's earnest, as the idiot in my community. He's an earnest man. He's a fraud and a cook and a phony. I meant crook, not cook, but maybe he's a cook too. God save the Queen. Hundreds of billions in taxpayer dollars, supposedly for COVID, are literally unaccounted for. Bidenomics, everybody, Bidenomics. Open borders, tens of thousands of fentanyl deaths, sex trafficking of women and children, 85,000 missing migrant children. Where'd they go? I don't know. Killing women's sports with transgenderism. Transgenderism, which represents what? About 1/1000% of the population? Oh, yes. Now we got to teach it. It's in books, and we have to recognize it. And who's going to recognize it? The teachers union. Oh! See little Frank over there? Yes. I think he'd look very cute in a dress. Frank, come over here. Yes. Are you sure about your genitalia? What's genitalia? Can I show you a book? Let's get it out of the elementary school. See this, Frank? Yes, what? Oh, my goodness. You don't really need this, do you, Frank? Where's my mommy? Shh. Don't talk to your mommy, Frank. We're professionals. We know better than you. It takes a village to surgically mutilate a child. Where's my mommy? Frank, we don't talk to parents here. We're professionals. I'll be right back.
Mark the pen. The thunder on the right. Call in now. 877-381-3811.
You should always stay for the third hour. It's a lot of fun. But this isn't really fun. I got to thinking the other day, ladies and gentlemen, of all these drag queens out there. Why are all the drag queens fat men? Why are they all fat? Have you noticed that, mister? They're all fat. They all look like, may I say, Chris Christie in a dress. Too much makeup, lipstick, lice-infested wigs. They have legs like water buffalo. Their high heels are only about 2 inches high, otherwise they'd fall over. The drag queens are always like these fat, ugly men. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I need to expand my group Fatties United, or FU, to include these fat drag queens. See, it's not so much that I'm offended by drag queens with little kids. Of course not. Who would be? I'm offended that they're fat, ugly men dressed up as fat, ugly women. What's that all about? What's that all about? I'm serious about it. And by the way, none of these people have psychological issues. You know, I wish I was born a woman. What can I do about it? And then we have these surgeons. Come over here, fella. We'll take care of you. Little snip here and a little clip there. Oh, yes. We got a whole industry built up. We make a fortune. I mean, we're about civil rights here. We do not think if you want to be a woman, you should be burdened with that thing, you know, the thing. And we're here to quickly help you make a decision. No circumspection, just circumcision. A really big one. You won't feel a thing. We'll knock you out. You'll wake up and the next thing you know, Joe will be Yolanda. Not for Yolanda. Nothing says guy like a very good surgeon. I often wonder how these people can do these things to other human beings. I really do. It's sickening. Don't you believe in drag queen rights? Actually, I don't. Get out of my face. They have no rights. They want to dance around like women? Then dance around like women. Keep away from my kids. There ought to be signs out there. No drag queens within 1,000 feet of any public school. Why? Because you're a sickening influence. That's why. You're creepy. Did I say it? I meant it. That's right. I wonder what kind of people are now being attracted to the teaching profession. You know, when I was a young guy, it was the smartest people around who were very, may I use the word earnest, who wanted to help kids, who enjoyed teaching kids math and science and history. They didn't want to get into sexuality and gender and all the rest. And I bet a lot of the teachers today are so sick of this, it's not even funny. But then I have to wonder, our education departments throughout America today, in our schools of higher learning and lowering pants, I just wonder how many of these people in the education department now are perverts. Obviously not all of them. And no, I'm not changing my thinking. I'm not changing my language. I'm not going along with the crowd. This is what I believe. And I have rights too, you know. I get to speak too. Ooh. Yes. So we need signs. No drag queens within 1,000 feet of a public school. This is what America's come to be. We need signs like that. We also should have application forms for teachers that sort of call out the sickos. And these educational administrators, many of them former union members. They're educational bureaucrats. Takes a village, Hillary said, to raise a child. A village. A village? Whose village? A village made up of whom and what? A village? To raise a child? The hell are they talking about? They don't know. It sounds good. They read it in a fortune cookie. Takes a village to raise a child. I don't know. We raised our kids without a village. And villages are filled with idiots. Joe Biden is a perfect example. So they lose $200 billion. I don't know where we're at. I have no idea. Middle out, bottom up. I don't know. Where we trickle down. My leg's all wet here, been trickling down. I don't believe in a trickle down. Hey, where's Dr. Jill? Jill? No, that's your sister. Oh, wait, where's that? No, that was your mother. Okay, whatever. God save the Queen. Yeah, I want that guy, the village idiot, raising my child. Yes. No, it's your flesh and blood. No, it's not. The Democrats say it's not. You may have given birth. You should have aborted, of course. But you may have given birth, but now they're ours. We got to work their little minds. What will they say of us 100 years from now? Democrat Party with eugenics, Democrat Party with abortion on demand, Democrat Party with surgically mutilating our children, Democrat Party. What will they say about us? They'll say we're sick. We're sick. And who's doing this to us? Well, we circle back. Have you heard a single major Democrat in Washington, D.C., in Congress, in the executive branch, speak out against what's happening to our children? No, they support it. Have you heard a single one of them tell Joe Biden, stop using racism? No, they all support it. Have you heard a single Democrat speak out and tell Joe Biden, stop with your anti-Semitism against Israel? No, they support it. Have you heard a single Democrat speak out and say, Joe, stop destroying the middle class? No, they support it. Here's the thing. They always talk about the middle class like we're a class society. People move in and out of the middle class or the upper class. But they want to make you angry and jealous. Look what he has over there. Elect me and I'll take it from him and I'll give it to you. Oh. Problem is they take it from you and they give it to them. Have you noticed? Democrat Party is sick. It's perverse. It's evil. It's dangerous. It lies. Come on, all you Democrats in the media, aren't you going to come to the defense of the Democrat Party and start attacking me over at Mediocreite and media doesn't matter for America, all these fraudulent hemorrhoids on the body politic? They'll come to the defense of the... What do you mean, the Democrat Party agent? What do you mean? I'm an objective reporter. What do you mean by that? Anyway, back to drag queens. You can tell the country's in decline because why are we even talking about drag queens? Why are they even near our children? Want to be a drag queen? Be a drag queen. Want to be a butterfly? Be a butterfly. Want to be a gopher? Be a gopher. Want to be a pig? Be a pig. What do I care? Keep it to yourself and get out of my way. And do not share your mental illness with my children. Sorry, every day is not Halloween. Every day is not Halloween. Remember we talked about remember when you were growing up you had tomboys? Remember these are girls who are good athletes, like hanging out with the boys. You know, the educational bureaucrats see there, Mr. Producer, an opportunity. Now look at that tomboy over there. That girl really wants to be a boy. We need to have a conference. Bring in the psychologist, the psychiatrist, the school counselor. Bring in the outside experts, DEI, ESG, ABC, bring them all in. Do not bring in the parents. What do they know? Sally is a tomboy. We have an issue here. Sally, can we take you to our elementary school library? It's filled with fantastic books here. We don't ban books here, Sally. No, we don't ban books. See this? See this one here? Sally the tomboy. See it? Turn to the last page. Turn to the last page there, Sally. It's all graphics. Look, you're old enough. You're 4.5, 5 years old. Take a look. Isn't that wonderful? See the ending of the book? Yes. See what happens? Yes. Sally really becomes Tom. You can identify with that, can't you, Sally? What? Yes. When's recess? No, Sally, take a look. You're frightening me. Sally, do you want to sit in the corner? Yes. It takes a village to raise our children. Don't you want the unions raising your children? They care so much. Don't you want Hollywood raising your children? Come on now. Don't you want your children exposed to drag queens, particularly fat, ugly drag queens? Yes, of course. All right, get with the program. Get with the program. The Democrat Party could put an end to this tomorrow. It's their unions. It's their Marxists. It's their executive orders. It's their books. But they won't. Why? Because they hate you. This is not a party that's pro-American, pro-capitalism, pro-family, pro-child. It is become a Marxist party. The goal is to destroy the norms of a civil society, to devour it, to eliminate the status quo and create something new. They will embrace critical race theory. They will embrace whatever they have to. They will promote whatever they have to. And that's exactly what's taking place. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
It's hard to tell, but he's clearly losing the war in Iraq. He's losing the war at home. And he has become a bit of a fly around the world. And it's not just NATO. It's not just the European Union. It's Japan. It's 40 nations.
All right, that is our great leader, Joseph Robinette Biden Sr., who confuses, of course, Iraq for Ukraine. And people have said, well, George W. Bush did that. And I say, exactly. The nitwittery knows no bounds with Biden, however. He does that every day. Wouldn't you miss me if I weren't on radio anymore, Mr. Producer? Wouldn't you miss me, America, if I weren't here anymore? New York, wouldn't you miss me if I wasn't here anymore? Who can replace this? Hey, let me tell you about Iraq. Whatever. We have Kristen Welker of NBC News. She saw this. Andrea Mitchell saw this, and they got concerned. Look, we know you're an imbecile. Can you talk less? Read the script. That was on the script. Cut 13. Go.
The question becomes, Andrea, is there a growing concern about some of these gaps? For example, today, he seemed to confuse Iraq with Ukraine. I spoke to a White House official about that who really downplayed that. They said, look, President... Hold on, wait a minute.
You spoke to an official in the Biden regime about Biden's mental capacity, and they played it down? Tell me that's not true! How's that possible? Where are the Democrats? They love this. Yes, we know he's an imbecile, but we can't tell anybody. He's our imbecile. And not only that, we've been able to push the most radical agenda in American history through the imbecile. He's our imbecile. We like that imbecile. Plus the other imbecile, the vice president, we can't control her as much. So we call it the imbecilic White House for a reason. We love it. We do. It's fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, we salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truck driver friends, the freedom fighters in Ukraine, and of course in Taiwan. God bless each and every one of you, and I'll see you tomorrow.